just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if they're sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right, this Bad Weather Fans, episode number 272. Mike Biseglia, Alex Benesowitz, and the New York Knicks have hired a head coach of the Brooklyn Nets, wheeling and dealing. Big time trades all around as we head into July, a wild and active first week in NBA free agency. Even though there's not many huge free agent names, it's still been a really fun week. If you are a hardcore NBA fan, can't ask for much more than this. And that's because the Knicks have a coach, the Nets making trades. And after all that, Alex, Mike Brown, new head coach of your team. Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm happy with Mike Brown as the coach of the Knicks. It could have been a lot worse. That's like pretty much the theme. They landed on their feet with a coach. They fired Tibbs because the players didn't want him anymore and they had no plan. So they just kind of just went out there and started asking every team if they can interview their coach. They said no, and they wanted Kidd, and Nico was like no. And they weren't expecting Tibbs to get fired. The players were just like no, they really just couldn't do it, so they had to fire him. So, I don't know. It's just then they went through 2 weeks of wasting it with the employed coaches, and then they went through a real process, and in that real process, within another 2 weeks, they end up with Mike Brown. So I think they got one of the better coaches that were available besides Mike Malone. They just didn't want him because he's Tibbs 2.0, as they say, and he's from the same coaching tree that Jeff Van Gundy coaching tree started with. They both started with Van Gundy with the Knicks as assistants. So I get it. You know what I mean? They kind of wanted to go in a completely different direction, and Mike Brown's more of an outgoing, fun-loving kind of coach who's seen it all in the 20 years in the league between coaching a young LeBron, coaching Steph Curry as an assistant, coaching Kobe with the Lakers. You know what I mean? He's been around. And then most recently with the Kings, where he got a raw deal, where he got fired after he turned the team around for the first time they were in the playoffs in 20 years since Ron Artest and the Kings. So it's not really right to judge him on getting fired by the Kings, considering the Kings also fired Mike Malone, who then went on to coach the Nuggets to a championship and develop a guy named Jokic. So I'm happy with Mike Brown. I'm ready to rock. Championship parade is back on, and let's roll.
So many things going through my mind right now. Number one, how annoying is it for me and for anybody that just really dislikes the Knicks that the Eastern Conference is so fucking wide open? Like, for example, and this is reality, if Halliburton doesn't get hurt, Miles Turner will re-sign with the Pacers. The Pacers made the decision once Halliburton was out that they did not want to get into this second apron, this tax, this essentially hard cap, because they know they can't win a championship if Halliburton's hurt. Just the reality of it.
Right.
Indiana's now toast, at least for the short term. Same with the Celtics. Tatum hurt, done.
They'll be good, but they won't be a title contender.
I mean, they lost a lot.
Right, but Jaylen Brown is going to go off. And
yes,
they'll be good, and they're good. They have a good coach,
but they're not a title contender.
Right.
Damian Lillard gets hurt, and that just changes the whole dynamic of the Bucks, which are in a very odd place right now. Point I'm trying to make here is, if you got a healthy Celtics and a healthy Pacers, the Knicks are in the mix with these teams. But right now, like, that gives them such an advantage, and I think is really impacting Knicks fans not being as angry about what happened with the coaching staff,
right,
with Tibbs being fired and Mike Brown being hired. And I agree with everything you're saying. Like, now that they actually had to go through a process, I agree that they picked and selected one of the better available coaches, somebody that has a track record working with superstars and is a good head coach, right? Like, is a good head coach based on the circumstance. But I'm telling you, man, if the East wasn't so banged up, Knicks fans would be a lot more angry right now.
No, it's true. It's true. I mean, you got the Cavs are going to be there. The Pistons are going to be there. The Magic are going to be there. The Heat are always around there. They're not going to be contenders. The Hawks improve with Porzingis, even though he's always hurt. The Sixers are the team that you got to watch out for next
Ugh,
year.
stop it.
I'm telling you, man, they're going to be good. They might not be contenders, but they can win 45, 50 games if Embiid and
Yeah,
Maxey are back.
but when it
And
counts, it won't matter.
I know, but it's just that was a tough out 2 years ago for the Knicks. And it was the first round, but they beat them in six. But it was a tough series, man. You know what I mean? They're not going to be they're going to be a team that's there. I think the Magic and the Pistons are the teams that are coming, and the Cavs, of course, you're going to have to mess with. So I think those are going to be like the top four teams right there in the East. So we'll see what happens. You know, I don't. You know, honestly, I'm just excited now that we got the Knicks got a coach that's legitimate. He's funny. He's gonna say some funny stuff in press conferences. It's gonna be funny as long as they keep winning. He's gonna keep everybody loose. Rick Brunson's gonna stay on the staff, which is a good thing to have that there. You know, have the star player have somebody on the sideline that can always check him. You know, you have your dad on the sidelines who's always going to be able to get in your face and get in your ear. And Jalen wants that. You know what I mean? So that's a great thing to have Rick Brunson on the sidelines. For anybody who says it's not, hasn't been paying attention to the Knicks, it's worked over the last 3 years. You know, so I don't understand what the issue is with that. Obviously, he's a mouthpiece for Leon Rose, but he was for the last 3 years. And like, it's been pretty well. They've been doing pretty well. So I'm not upset about it. That's all.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, for everybody that hates on it, Jalen's had the best couple of years of his life, and his dad's been on the staff. So obviously, that's partially, I'm sure, has helped. Jalen's the reason that has occurred. He has taken his game to another level. He's the reason that he's become a legit superstar in the NBA. But you can't hide from the fact that Rick's been there correlates with Jalen's success. I mean, that is true.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he wasn't getting better his last year with the Mavericks, where he had those monster playoff games.
Luke was hurt.
And Luka was banged up. Yeah, and so I get that, but he's really taken his game to another level that nobody saw coming. Even Jalen, probably even Leon Rose. If you got an honest moment with him, nobody saw Jalen Brunson being this great. We saw quality starting point guard, borderline all-star, whatever. We didn't see one of the best players in the NBA, all NBA player, clutch player of the year. You know what I'm saying? Nobody saw that. Nobody saw this. So leave Rick Brunson on the staff. What's the problem? You know, I don't get what's the big issue. I think it's just people who want to complain who haven't been following the situation very closely.
When you date somebody and then you break up, why are you moving?
Because everybody always compares basketball situations to girls. It's not you. I'm just laughing because I heard Evan do something today.
Well, this is totally an original comment. So
okay. No, I'm not saying I don't know what the comment is. I'm just laughing because everybody was compares.
When you date somebody that's a certain way for so long, Tibbs is strict. You know, like Mike Brown's gonna be the opposite in a lot of sense. Now, I'm not saying he's not going to be strict or influence. He's garner respect, but the personality traits are so different that if there was core issues in the locker room, it makes sense that you'd want somebody that has different traits than Tibbs does, because that's what you're looking for in a partner. Is that the similar?
No, it's not similar. It's just funny because everybody always compares like basketball stuff.
Fine, then I'll compare it to turtles.
Turtles.
Okay. You want that comparison? I think it's a good comp because people date.
No, it is. It is.
And they go through
the second
breakups.
wife usually lasts longer than the first wife. I mean, you know, depending on when you get divorced, but if you get a second wife,
my wife
usually you're
listens to
happier.
this.
Yeah. Well, Mike's not trying to get a second wife, so that's not Mike. Of
You're
course.
my second wife at this point.
Maybe Evan is. He's the one who's taking you to basketball games for free.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
well, I mean, we went to Hate Watch, which I got to break the net news to him, and I got to break the Nick news to you.
You did it to me twice now over the last few weeks. For people listening, Mike. So I don't have Twitter alerts on because I check Twitter so often, and my Twitter alerts would be like
Really?
ping, 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 ping. Yeah, exactly.
Do you really?
I do.
You're on Twitter a lot?
Yes.
Wow, I didn't know that.
But anyway, so I shut my alerts off, my notifications off on Twitter because otherwise my phone would just be like nonstop. So I didn't happen to be on Twitter, and I just get, when Tibbs got fired out of nowhere, I just get random text messages from Mike, not with the news, just be like, holy shit, what the fuck, holy shit. I'm like, somebody died or somebody was
Yeah.
was fired. So then I checked Twitter. I was like, holy shit, Tev's got fired. So I instantly go to Shams. The second I get a text like that from you, Mike, I go to Shams on Twitter. And then it happened today where we were discussing when we were going to record the podcast. We're like, we have to wait for Mike Brown to get hired at least. Want to wait for Cam Thomas maybe too. But you know what? Mike Brown hired. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then I got a text message from you. I forgot what the text messages were. You're like, well, see you tonight.
That was it.
That was it. And then I was like, oh, I guess Mike Brown got hired. That
Yeah.
was like funny. So you broke the news to me.
Person I have
Congrats.
on alerts is Shams on my Twitter
Yeah.
feed.
Nobody
'Cause
else?
if he's
not
tweeting-
Rappaport or Schefter or anything like that?
I still have. I should probably remove them.
Because who
But
cares?
Woj.
Yeah. Oh, Woj. Yeah.
'Cause
I
those are the
unfollowed
only
Woj.
two-
I unfollowed Woj.
He probably lost a ton of followers. I mean,
Right.
not he.
Still has like
I mean,
100 million.
does he
I'm
care?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, it's interesting. But still, hey, Knicks have a head coach. I think from the vantage point of they did not have a plan. I think that was very clear. But then once they made it serious and they had to go in and find someone, they believe this is the best candidate, and we'll see what happens. Only time will tell. Like I do think Atlanta is going to be really good. I think they've improved themselves dramatically and they'll be healthy. I think the Magic are the other team. Don't love what the Pistons did this offseason. There's a lot of uncertainty with Malik Beasley and everything happening there. Like, will he be re-signed? Because now his life is in a very different spot than it was a week ago. Dennis Schroeder's gone. He goes to Sacramento. They bring in Duncan Robinson, but like Schroeder was huge for them in the playoffs. I mean, he was
Schroeder and Beasley. They were both
And
like
Beasley.
the heart and soul of that team. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Pistons need Cunningham to take another leap, and they'll get healthier and see what Ivy does, etc.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Ivy
Duran,
'cause
but
he's
like,
hurt. yeah, Ivy.
man,
I
those are
forgot.
big losses to me. I think that
Yeah.
stings more than you would think. They would break down the Pistons here for an hour, but
Well, they're probably expecting Ivy to come back. That makes sense. I totally forgot about him. But with the Knicks and their process, Mike Brown definitely wasn't their first or second choice.
No,
They clearly
not even
want a
close.
kid. But you know what? Mike Brown is the perfect choice for them because Mike Brown doesn't care. Mike Brown is like, I have an opportunity to win a championship. He can be controlled to a certain extent where he's just happy to have the job. He'll be like, sure, Rick Brunson can stay on the staff. Let's roll. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, I know what my job is. My job here is to coach the team and manage the locker room, manage the egos. Like, don't break, because the Knicks aren't a broken, team. Like, we keep acting like they were out in the first round. This team was in the Eastern Conference Finals. So if it isn't broke, don't fix it. Start Mitch. You got Ubaselli now coming off the bench. Huck Porty. Hopefully, he can develop, and maybe there's another free agent that you can bring in, or a sign and trade somewhere. I don't know how the cap is working. It's like you have to have a
Clarkson.
doctorate. Yeah, you got Jordan Clarkson also. I forgot. So that's another that bolsters the offense on the bench. So your bench is now Deuce, Clarkson, Hart, Huck Porty, and Ubaselli. Like, and then Kolick. We'll see what he is. So you have some players on that bench, and the Knicks are like one of the best teams in the NBA coming into next year. I mean, on paper, and they're one of the most cohesive teams that are coming back next year besides the Thunder. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I mean, how can you be upset as a Knicks fan right now?
I'm not one, so I can't speak.
But if you were, would you be upset?
I would never be, and I don't even want to do that scenario.
You would never be upset. Exactly. Being a Knicks fan is that great.
No,
It's
just
that
even
great.
to like pretend to be one just skeeves me out. Just sounds gross.
If you were a Knicks fan, what jersey would you buy?
I
player.
would never. I'm not even entertaining this conversation. Like,
But if you were a
no,
Knicks fan, would you get season tickets?
I'm not
to
even
sell?
entered. I'm not doing this. I have too much respect for myself to go
If
down.
you were a
this
Knicks fan,
road.
would you have named your son Patrick, or do you think you would have stayed with Ryan?
I think I would have stayed with Ryan. I
Okay.
didn't have a need to name my son or daughter
No.
after any famous athletes.
weird.
That
That's-
wasn't
it's kinda
that wasn't a thing.
I mean, shout out to whoever did it. I mean, does that, but just not me.
Shout out.
But you know what's funny is that my parents are huge Mets fans. Like, we're all Mets, Jets, Knicks fans, but my huge Mets fans. Sidebar story. And my family wanted, we're Jewish, so we name after the dead. But you have to, at least have to use the letter, first letter of the first name, if you want. I mean, that's just tradition. So they wanted to use L, and they're big fans. And my mom was a huge Lee Mazzelli fan, Mets fan, huge Lee Mazzelli fan. So my sister's name is Lee. So it's kind of after Lee Mazzelli, kind of not. It was just like kind of the idea, so There you go.
I thought you were gonna say like, although the timeline wouldn't work here, but big Alexander Ovechkin people.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
we got to name him after the superstar hockey.
No, that was just actually my grandfather's name, Alex.
Gotcha.
So,
The Nets
yes.
make a huge trade on, geez, I guess it was Monday night where they deal Cam Johnson for Michael Porter Jr. and they get the 2032 first round pick back. Uh, let's start with the pick part because this has nothing to do with the Nets, but philosophically, I realize this has been getting on my nerves a little bit. People complain about draft picks and they go two different routes. It's either, or not complain, but like this is like a defense mechanism. And we'll use the Nick fan as an example. And we'll use the Mikal trades. And it will be like, you have all these picks, but they'll be like, man, it doesn't really matter because they're going to be late first round picks. So there's that avenue of first round picks don't matter. Or there's the other avenue of, well, that person's in the 11th grade. But then isn't it to a certain extent like
11 years old.
11 years
years
old,
old,
excuse
not
me,
11th
11 years
grade.
old.
Huge
But then
difference.
isn't there to some extent, well, that means that that pick has a potential to be really good and could be the opposite of your previous part of the argument. There's not going to be a scenario where the Wizards are heading into next year and they're going to trade their unprotected lottery pick or pick said team. It just doesn't happen unless you are acquiring a superstar back.
They're priceless
So
picks, right?
there's two scenarios. There's picks that are high in the draft because the team was good, or they're down the road. What you want is never going to happen. So those are the reality of it. So you could like make fun of it in either direction, but it's the best possible scenario you could get out of this. And doesn't mean the Nets are going to use that Denver Nuggets draft pick in 2032. It's an asset to have in the future. So, for example, if Anthony Edwards demands a trade in 2 years and the Nets are positioned to say, hey, we'll give you the Knicks 2029, the Knicks 2031, the Nuggets 2032, and our unprotected 2030, 2031. That's how it works.
Sure, but 2032 is so funny because it's so far away.
It is.
And a kid is 11 years old right now that they just traded for.
But it's not about it's not
And-
about who they're going to draft.
Well, how old is Ryan? How old's your son?
He'll be 5 in
6?
September.
5? Okay, 5 years old. So they're only 5 or 6 years off from a pick that would be his grade.
I understand, but it's
Like,
an
that's
asset to
insane,
use
bro.
in the
Like,
future. So, but the point is, if somebody would you rather have the Denver Nuggets 2026 pick?
but
So answer the question.
would I rather have the Denver Nuggets 2026 pick? Yes, because like, am I going to be the GM in 7 years if I'm a GM? Am I going to be like? I understand.
There's
that
more
you have this
value in the
pick.
2032 for the future and the long term of what they're doing. It's
Right,
true.
because you don't know what's going to happen in 7 years. It's a
And
whole different league.
it's using it to have in your arsenal when the big deal needs to happen.
But
That's
when
what the problem is for the Knicks with Mikal. It's not about Mikal. He's fine. He's a good player. He is what he is. The issue is if Anthony Edwards became available, if Giannis Antetokounmpo becomes available, the Knicks can't get them.
But they had to trade those picks because they couldn't afford the guys with the draft picks anyway under the salary cap.
Yeah, but
So they had to make the trade.
2027, 2029,
Well, those
2031.
future ones, fine. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. So with those future ones, but don't wave me off. I forgot my point now.
Yeah,
you
'cause
waved,
mine
you
was
waved
really
off
good.
my point. You waved me off, and
I think that
lost
was my
point.
first wave at you. And then
Yeah.
also, getting Michael Porter Jr. back will be interesting to see. Like, obviously, when he was in Denver, he had the support of superstars around him, which helped. He's going to get the ball a lot. He's going to be asked to score a lot.
Draft
He's gonna
him in
have a lot of
fantasy.
stats.
Draft him in fantasy. Michael Porter Jr. Like, oh boy, he's gonna go off.
I mean, the scary part is, Alex, the East is so bad that you could make the argument that the Nets could be playing for a play-in because of just how bad the East is.
Yeah,
It's possible.
And you know what's funny is that Michael Porter Jr., 2018 NBA draft, he was one of the guys that the Knicks, quote unquote, passed on. Only the Knicks, of course, pass on players that become good. Michael Porter Jr. was a 14th pick, 2018 draft. The Knicks drafted Kevin Knox, number 9, ahead of Mikal Bridges, who was number 10, and this guy named SGA at number 11.
Yep.
And now can you name the first pick and the third pick of that draft? They're both Lakers now.
Yes, I can.
Now you can because I gave it away.
Well, I know it's Aiden and
Aiton
Luca.
and Doncic, yeah, and Luca. So what a draft, man! And Trey Young was 5, Jaren Jackson was 4. You know, that's a really, really good draft. Colin Sexton was 8. I remember like begging for Colin Sexton in that draft. Next need to get Sexton. I was so mad. It was like a pick before. Meanwhile, I should have been begging for SGA.
Well, I mean, that goes back to the last episode when I was calling everybody to say, like, guys, you don't know. You
Right,
just don't.
right, right.
That's another example. We could
Take
have used
5
that.
swings, five plate appearances. You might hit 1 homer. That's all you need.
Right. Like if one of those guys is SGA and the other 4 stink,
Who
doesn't matter.
cares? Exactly.
I mean, it really doesn't. I mean, that's the league. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the NBA where you
Yeah.
can. It's like getting your quarterback.
Right.
You had 5
Right.
first-round picks and drafted for, not that this would ever happen in football, it's just the way the sport works. But you can't draft like you have 5 first-round picks. Well, if you had 5 first-round picks in football, that's insane. But
Well, the
to
Jets
get-
had 4 first-round picks one year when they had they drafted Pennington, John Abraham, Sean Ellis, and Anthony Becht. I forgot what year was that. Was that 2000? I just googled it, but I
we
remember
would
the
never
players.
take 4 quarterbacks.
No, no, you would never take 4 quarterbacks.
But
That would just be
but I'm-
hilarious. I would play one quarterback a quarter and just be like, see
Say,
which
well-
one can win.
Well, we'll take our chances. We'll take our chances. I'm happy to see Net fans coming around a little bit more.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like calming down.
It's silly. And you know what it is? Like I said in the last episode, once you see them play in the summer league, you're going to make full determinations on these guys, which is not fair because RJ Barrett played poorly in the summer league at first, but then he turned it on and became a really good player who they were able to trade for OG Anunoby, who's a key piece to this title contending Knicks teams. You know, two or three of these guys on the Nets become really good players, and you deal them for an OG Anunoby type in 4 years. I mean, then you're in business, man. Like, you know what I mean? You got to
That's
have the
the beginning.
talent. Yeah, you got
Beginning of a rebuild. How
Yeah.
at least next year. I'm excited for next
It'll be
season.
fun.
Way
Yeah,
more. You
yeah.
got 5 rookies. You got Michael
Right.
Porter Jr. Hopefully Cam Thomas is back. And it's like, okay, this is going to be a wacky squad, but it's more fun than just knowing this is not a punt year.
No.
Now it might be a punt year if they tank because they're just not that talented, but it's not a punt year in the sense of they're in development of guys that they want to see play well and not picking up G League roster and hoping they have something magical that happens.
Right. Or D'Angelo Russell again, who's gone, you know?
Yeah.
So, like those kind of players. Do you
Yeah.
think, is there even a team that can pay Cam Thomas assign him to a big offer sheet? Is there even anybody out there that can? I mean,
No.
I guess it could be a sign and trade in
Sign
some
and trade.
capacity, but
I wonder why this is taking so long.
I don't know. That's what's so bizarre because you say the Nets are the only team with cap space, and you're right about that. And so, like, who the hell, what are they waiting for? Like, just sign the guy. I mean, he's really good. He's really young. You held him out most of the season after he was, healthy with the injury. You're like, we need to lose. But then you don't trade D'Angelo Russell, which made no sense. So, like, I don't know. But we don't
I
have to
haven't
rehash
heard
the
much
Nets season,
either, like trying to figure out
which is not a good sign.
why.
It's not a good sign. If
Like
there's no
what
news.
is like maybe they're just searching around, but I mean, he likes it here. He's gonna have an opportunity, obviously, still to play. He's got point guards now, a lot of them, a lot of young point guards. I don't know what's taking so long. I
Yeah, I
don't
don't
know. I'd
know.
be pretty disappointed if he left. I'd be pretty sad about that. I want to see what he looks like with these younger guys. Next to Michael Porter Jr., I'm curious to see him healthy. Another year in the league, it would be entertaining to watch.
Well, it'd be fun if the Nets roll out a lineup of the 5 rookies. Just, not to start, obviously, but it'd be fun.
I
to
went
do
to a
that.
game years ago. I guess like years ago, it was like 4 years ago, where the Nets rolled out their 4 rookies and Durant.
Mm.
It was in. Do you remember back when like everybody in the NBA all got COVID in like the same 3-week
Yes.
span?
Yes.
So like all these rosters were funky.
they were giving
Oh.
everybody like free roster spots to sign guys because you had no
Yes.
players. They're like,
Yes.
all right, COVID rule. Like, you could sign
Yeah.
a minimum contract guy, 10-day deals or some shit. Like, yeah.
It was 4 rookies and KD versus the Raptors, and the Nets won. I remember like Pascal, OG, like they played those Raptors, and the Nets got
Mhm.
the win at home. And 90% of the roster was out. It was a crazy game.
That's crazy. What's the line? Let's say, what's the Nets lineup if Cam Thomas comes back? What's your starting 5? Sorry to put you on the spot. Obviously, Cam Thomas and Michael Porter Jr. and
Hold on.
Claxton.
I want
Those
to
are
get the
3,
whole
right?
roster. I want to get the whole roster in front of me.
That's your 2, 3, and 5. if Claxton is back, right? Let's just say everybody's back who's on the roster right now. So you
Yeah,
got
Clax is back.
2, 3, 5s, Cam Thomas, Michael Porter Jr., and Claxton. Then who's at the 1 and the 4?
So I guess it'll depend on what they want to do with the rookie situation. Now, the interesting thing was Jordy said like that there's going to be a battle for who's getting the minutes. Like I don't think politics will play in that. Like I think they're going to legit see who can um like
Just
see
win
who's
it
the
out.
best, like
Yeah,
see who the
yeah.
best point guard is and go
Right.
with that. I do think they'll do that. Um
Hmm.
but I
All
guess
right.
Igor at the 1.
Yeah, why not? Why not start the kid if he's good,
Um I really want to get the Nets roster in front of me, so I'm looking for it because it's
Yeah.
just so funky
Pull up
now.
their salaries, then you'll be able to see Nets salaries
Yeah, good call. Okay,
because it's
let's go
not
to that.
updating for depth charts yet. Yeah.
Yeah,
So go
okay,
ahead.
perfect. Good idea. Man, they haven't put the
Doesn't work.
rookies in there yet.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I think they go
Clowney, you have also, right?
Cam, Igor 1, Cam 2, Michael Porter Jr., and then Clowney and
Clax. Yeah.
Clax and or Dayron Sharp.
Mm.
Zaire Williams might get some heavy minutes.
Is he back? Wouldn't
Yeah,
he?
they
Oh, they
re-signed him
re-signed him.
2 years.
Okay. Okay.
They re-signed him
I knew he
and
was in the news. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. They
Dayron,
re-signed.
both 2 years, $12 million, which is both
Got
very
it.
good deals. Jalen Wilson getting minutes. Tariq Whitehead probably get a little bit more. But that's your starting lineup. I would say that.
See what
That
happens
good.
though. Summer League is going to come. You know what's crazy is that Nets fans are going to be locked into Summer League like
Oh
it's the
yeah,
playoffs. You got four,
I
you got
know.
5 first-round picks. You're going to be locked in. You know that's going to be the. That's probably going to have the best Summer League team that there ever was this year.
um, now it's interesting. They're still paying LaMarcus Aldridge a little bit more. I guess they
They
spread him
stretched
out.
him.
They have cap holds. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading that
Whatever.
wrong.
Yeah, it's just oh,
I'm going down a rabbit hole. And then
idiots. How do you
and
not
then
know everything all the time? Yeah, no, I know.
yeah. But
So
yeah, no, I mean we'll see a lot of Claxton. We'll see a lot of Noah Clowney. We'll see a lot of the rookies. Egor.
yeah,
And then I don't know if the Saraf, if they give him some heavy minutes.
see how they play.
See how they play.
So, funny story today for me and Begley. The Knicks have checked in on Ben Simmons in free agency.
Yeah, I love that.
Uh, I don't.
I don't think that's real. They would never sign
I
him.
mean, Begley wouldn't say anything by accident. He's the one who said 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks ago, when they were still like reaching out to all these employed coaches, that
How
it
did the
was going to
Knicks do
be
that?
Mike Brown or Taylor Jenkins, you know? And he was right. Those are the finalists after all that bullshit. So I don't know. I don't know. And I honestly, that would ruin all the good vibes right now with the Knicks bringing Ben Simmons, even if it's on a vet minimum. Just why? There's so many guys out there you can bring on a vet minimum, like, or just pay, like, let these young kids play, but like, pay your second round pick, Diawara, whatever his name is, and just like, no, like, you don't need that kind of anchor and distraction on your team. A guy, he's a loser. He doesn't care about winning, he cares about himself. He'll play a couple games well just to earn his guaranteed contract for the year, and then he'll be hurt. Like,
One quick note: Terrence Mann, also who they got in the hump
oh yeah,
trade,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
could get some minutes at the 3.
Born in Brooklyn, comes home. Right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. They've got a million rookies, but that's you could see Demon, Thomas, Mann, Porter Jr., Clax.
Mhm.
Could be a way they go. As far as Simmons, there's no shot that the Knicks would put themselves through that. Like he doesn't add anything to that Like also too, what does he add to that roster? I'm thinking from a
Right.
basketball
Even
standpoint,
in an emergency, like
can't
if
he can't play anymore.
let's say Brunson's hurt, Deuce plays, and if Deuce is hurt, then Kolick plays, or even Clarkson could play some point guard. Like what are
He's
you
not.
like?
This
What are you
is not
doing?
real. This is
Yeah.
not real.
What are you doing?
There's
Yeah.
no shot.
Yeah.
There's no shot that they would bring in the distraction that he would be. He's not very good.
For the 12th guy on the bench, like
He wouldn't
what? Like
play.
yeah. Just try
Like,
to get Al Horford in the vet minimum. Like, somebody
well,
like
he would be a
that.
great pickup. I would
Yeah,
say that
'cause-
would be a good pickup for the Knicks. I
right.
like that for them because he
Yeah.
can spread the floor. He's a great locker room guy. He can spread the
Right.
floor, shoot
Won a
threes.
championship. Yeah, exactly.
You'd love that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
And
no,
I don't
not
have to worry about him
Ben.
signing with a team that he's going to hit an open three against the Knicks again. You know what I mean? So like,
No, well, that too. I did tweet out after you sent me that Ben Simmons thing. You're like, quote tweet it, and I
yeah.
made the joke like,
I'm like, this is
this is a
right up
good.
your alley, man. Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is a good signing for the Knicks. He knows the New York market, so could handle the pressure, and it got Net fan and Nick fan mad at me.
I don't know why Nets fans would get mad. You said love this for the Knicks. He's played in Brooklyn too, so he understands the pressure of New York City. You're clearly joking.
People
Clearly
that
joking.
know me and know the show were like, dude, stop trolling. But people
It-
that so many random people on Twitter were just like, wow, you really have horrible opinions.
53,000 views.
So stupid. Can I
Let's read
read
some
some of them?
comments.
Because they're just
Yeah.
hysterical. Here's a
Somebody
nice
wrote,
one.
somebody wrote, is this a joke? And you wrote, yes.
Well, no, I wanted this last year before he went to the Clippers. His length and size and dribbling ability would have made a difference in the playoffs. Instantly become the best passer and ball handler on the Knicks. That was from a Nets fan.
Yeah, yeah,
He sucks. Someone wrote troll alert. There we go.
yeah.
Is this a joke?
The
You don't
Brooklyn
know
way.
anything.
The Brooklyn way said he will take the Knicks to the promised land. Like at least those are Nets fans with a sense of humor. Like they get
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean?
Um, this is yeah. Although,
So Ben Simmons, number one hater at
yeah, I was about
Drizzy
to read this
Dree.
one. This is the funny one.
Ben Simmons holding the Larry O'Brien trophy in a Knicks jersey. That's what dreams are made of.
That was funny. That made me laugh. Yeah,
Oh man, people are stupid.
yeah,
The problem is there's so many people that have like quote unquote real opinions that are so bad that people believe it. You know what I mean? But like this just shows you that all you have to do is go against the grain of what's popular and you'll be called an idiot, you'll be called a moron, but you'll get 50,000 views on
yeah.
Twitter. You
It
know?
works.
That's why these big aggregating sites that just like make up things like, can you believe that, da 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 da, and it's like the most nonsensical take, and everybody's like, what? I can't believe it. Ah, I almost get caught in those sometimes, like, oh my God, you can't believe you would say, you know what I mean? So that's what it is.
I make it a point now to never respond to certain people's videos because I'm not gonna give in to it because I know that's what they want and I
Right.
refuse to do it.
Like
It's like I have like a Mount
nice.
Rushmore list of people.
John Morash? No.
No, not Marash. I muted him a while ago, so I don't see his tweets. But there's a list of people I won't interact with.
Yeah.
He would probably be on the list if he wasn't muted. But like, there's just people I can't.
He's
handle.
harmless. He's harmless. He's great.
I like
He's
Sean.
harmless. Yeah,
I
he's
like
harmless.
Sean.
No.
I think
I want to guess who they are.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
CP the franchise.
I've muted all Nick fans. To be fair,
But he's
because
the
I just couldn't take
franchise,
it.
man.
What?
He's the franchise.
No, I don't know. I don't know if I've probably muted hundreds of Nick fans. I'm not kidding.
Every single you show me posts sometimes where I'll send you a post of mine,
Yeah.
and then you'll look at the comments. It's like mute, 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 mute.
Because it just there's no need to get like
Angry, yeah.
right because
It'll pop up on your timeline and just get you
Yeah.
mad and like some.
Yeah, I don't
shit.
want to see it.
Yeah,
Hope
No,
that's okay
good.
with you.
Protect your mental health, Mike.
That's
Protect your
that's
mental
what I'm doing. I mean, I'll unmute him after the Knicks lose a series. Don't get me wrong. Like
Right.
unmute. Let's have some fun. Unmute.
So, will you throw a parade or a party if the Nets win the Summer League championship?
I will not, but I'll be encouraged if like the players play well, and I will like to see that. It's funny. You're right though, too, Alex, because there will be more excitement for this summer league than any NBA game last year they played.
Oh my God, yeah.
Which is so sad, but it's real.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
It's
a good
just the
point.
excitement, man. I'm telling you, like Porzingis, we didn't know who he was, and then he stared at Okafor and nailed that jumper, and every Knicks fan had said, "Whoa!" Like, you know what I mean? Because
Sure.
it was a swag jumper. It wasn't like just a random jump shot. He held it down low, stared him right in the eyes, and just bang. So you're like, all right, this guy's got some moxie.
Well, I mean, we
so
saw what happened when
See?
Porzingis was drafted, and people were so pissed. There's that one kid,
Right.
the whole thing, the
Oh
meme
yeah,
from
I
that.
know.
But nobody really knows. I mean, Anthony Bennett was the first pick in the draft. Horrible
Yeah.
pick.
Shout out to Bill Simmons who called that out from that moment. He's like,
He's like,
"What
whoa.
are we
He's like,
doing?"
whoa.
Yeah, like, yeah.
I've been listening to a lot more Bill Simmons. I used to never listen to him. And
Mhm.
recently I've been consuming his content. I don't know.
Yeah, well, interesting.
not that
Interesting
he needs
tidbit.
my plug. Fine.
We need his. That'd be nice. But I don't know, man. I'm looking forward, like the Knicks. One more thing, I'm looking forward to this season so much now, and I want to enjoy it again. I'm not gonna get complacent and be like, whatever. It's just about the playoffs. Just about the play. It is just about the playoffs, but
And health. Getting
and
there.
health. But the Knicks showed this past season when everybody said they had no chance, they beat the Celtics. When everybody said they had no chance, the Cavs didn't even get to them. You know what I mean? So it's just it matters, but it doesn't. You know what I'm saying? You have to play so you can gain your cohesion, so you can learn each other and you could stay healthy and
Yeah.
be in shape and all of that. And Tibbs did not get fired because of too many minutes. He got fired because the players just had enough. You know what I mean? Maybe it was from the minutes. I don't think so. But the Knicks didn't get hurt. They were the healthiest team in the league at the end of the year. And I think Mitchell Robinson is such a huge key, and he is due for a healthy season. And he is due to have that massive breakout year. And I'm so excited to see him play this year. Like he has become my favorite Knicks player. I got his jersey recently. I'm locked in on Mitchell Robinson, and just when he is on, it's just beautiful to see.
I think the problem for the Knicks last year was more of the trend of their offense decreasing as the season went on. I
Right.
think Mike Brown, an offensive mind, is there to unlock some of that because they didn't get enough out of this team offensively.
Got too stagnant at times.
And it became a lot of Jalen Brunson one-on-one, which is a
Right.
problem. As
Right.
much, let me join this club. You know where I'm going?
Yes. Go ahead.
Anybody that criticizes Brunson has to be like, he's my guy. I love him. But
Close personal friend of mine. Yes. Yeah.
like, I whatever. Everybody, every time they have to criticize Brunson, has to always have that caveat of,
Great
hey,
guy, plays hard.
let me just like, I love him. He changed this franchise around. But what he did in the third quarter versus the Pacers, you got to move the ball. I'm just like,
And
oh
it's
my
okay
God.
to criticize guys. Like that's the thing. Everything's so aggressive nowadays where it's like if you criticize a player, you criticize a team, you're not a hater. If you just I thought the Knicks were embarrassing themselves the way they were reaching out to every team for their employed coaches. I thought they were embarrassing
That's what it
themselves.
was.
You want to reach out to Kid, fine. You want to maybe reach out to one other team, fine. But you reach out to like 4 or 5 teams, like what the fuck are you doing? You're just making yourself look like idiots. You're making Barkley sound right, which he was. He's making all these guys who are making fun of them look right. I mean, they were wrong for bugging out about firing Tibbs because that happens all the time in the NBA. You're firing coaches after Eastern Conference Finals, after the finals appearances,
I
after
agree.
whatever. That
I
shit
agree.
happens. That's not a big deal. But
I would agree.
you don't need to reach out to 5 teams for their coaches. That just makes you look like idiots. Nobody, especially teams with these massively successful coaches like the Timberwolves and you know what I mean. What are we doing, man? Like
Arrogance and not caring.
yeah, and it probably was killing time for Jason Kidd in hindsight. Or, maybe they just really had no idea what they were doing. And they were just like, fuck, we weren't expecting to fire Tibbs. Let's see if we can and just land one of these big coaches. Maybe know somebody's not happy. Let's shake some trees. Like, it's not really a plan. That's just like, fuck, let's try to figure this shit out, throw some darts at the wall. Like, maybe we'll hit a bullseye. And then, all right, fuck, that didn't work. Let's go to square one and let's interview some of these available coaches and see what happens. And
Man,
they ended up on their feet. It is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I would love to know what was said in those closeout calls with
Yeah.
Rose, with Dolan, with the players. Like, what was said about Tibbs? What
Yeah.
was actually said that caused that?
We'll find out
reaction?
one day. Maybe not this year, but we'll find out. Especially if the Knicks like win a title or something, we'll find out. Or even if they don't, or let's say they don't and they just like fall flat on their face this year, which you would love. I think we'll find out.
I was gonna. I'm gonna ask like these dumb questions. This is. I'm gonna do. I've just came up with a sports radio topic. It's so stupid,
Let's hear
but
it.
it's legit. I guarantee you, in the next year, somebody makes this a topic. If the Knicks win a championship, should Thibodeau get a ring?
No.
Is that going to be a thing? That you could
I
see
think
that.
it could be if they win it this year, the
I would say
first
this
year.
year. This
Yeah,
year.
then that could be a thing.
Should they
But if
give
I'm
Thibodeau a
Thibodeau,
ring?
I don't take it.
No, of
Like,
course
hey, fuck
not.
your ring. I don't want that shit.
No.
Or
It's like if
I take it and sell it.
it's like
You
if
know
you had
what
if it's like if you're dating a girl out. No, I'm just joking.
It's like if you're dating a girl and then she gets pregnant and then you raise the kid and it happens to not be your kid. Is it still your kid?
That's next on Jerry Springer. Let's bring him out. There is a guest that we're gonna work on. Can I say this? Because
Yep.
um
And they're right here behind my. Oh, no.
no, but it would be the all-time bad weather fans guest. Would you agree?
I would agree. Given the circumstances, yes.
Do you think it
Not the
happened?
biggest name that we've ever
Not the
gotten.
biggest name,
Not even
but
close.
just a great guest.
Great guest. Yes, it would be.
What's your gut? You said no or yes?
That it's a great guest or that
that
will
it
get him?
happens.
Oh.
Guts, no.
Guts, no, because of the
So-
situation
yeah.
and the difficulty in getting this kind of a guest. I'd say 30 to 40% chance,
Okay, that's not bad.
given your contacts over the years with said person.
Okay, we'll see. All right.
So
that's
it's
all.
not over 50.
No.
But listen, you're 30 to 40%, you're in the Hall of Fame in baseball. You know, that's the other thing
Yeah.
people always compare things to. It's either dating or baseball. So those are the two things, no matter if you're a baseball fan or not.
All right. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Bad weather fans, 272. Sorry, I was just in a quirky mood today.
I'm sorry. I just played an hour and 50 minutes of full court basketball. I am exhausted. So if anybody's wondering why I'm not myself, or maybe I am myself and I just
Sure.
powered through. But
Yeah,
I'm exhausted. I'm tired.
Get to
I'm
bed.
fat and I need to lose weight. But I was still nailing jumpers, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to my friends. Thank
Good.
you.
I'm
What's
glad
up?
you're hitting some shots. It's kind of like dating. All right. Bad weather
It's kind of
fans,
like dating.
272.
You might not make every shot, but you got to keep shooting.
You don't make you miss the shots you don't take.
Right. 100% of the shots you don't take.
That one
Messed it
too.
up.
All right.
Yes.
Talk to you later.
See ya.
Bye.